Well, welcome to Dubs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. The Warriors have now lost 4 in a row as they go down against the Phoenix Suns, who made 18 threes, folks, and 31 shots on 31 assists on 38 made shots. That's Dalton Johnson. I'm Zena, Keita, trying to make sense of this loss because Phoenix Suns came out hot, supreme, first rate, particularly in their shooting. There was a lot of that going around for them, but for the Warriors, just a tough loss because they were trying hard. Dalton, how would you sum up this game?
Yeah, I think it was just a slow start overall by the Warriors. The defensive miscues, I thought, really hurt them. The ball movement by the Suns was just phenomenal early on. I mean, it felt like they were going against a scrimmage with their G League affiliate.
It really did.
It was just too easy, way too easy. I think first half, 21 assists on 23 made shots. That's wild, you know, and obviously a really slow start for Steph Curry. Got it going in the second half, obviously, but kind of just too little too late for the Warriors. One of those kind of games. Tale of two halves, but just way too slow of a start for the Warriors. A 17-point halftime hole. They were just buried. They couldn't dig back out of it.
Yeah, it felt a little bit repetition of that Thunder game, especially considering the Warriors had 15 extra shots against the Thunder in that fourth quarter, but only made 1 in those last minutes. When you look at tonight's game, the Warriors shot 92 shots versus the Suns 79, but they made the same amount of shots over the course of the night. I'm happy you brought up Steph Curry because I do want to talk about his slow start. Opening the first half 0 for 5 from the field. Overall, just not being able to get his legs under him to get his three-point shot going. But second half, things turned around. Why was it that Steph Curry was just too slow to start out and then find some rhythm in the second half?
It looked like someone coming back from a little bit of a knee issue as he's been dealing with the bilateral knee pain. And so, again, it looked like someone trying to get the rust off, trying to figure it out. You know, again, that's not the Steph Curry that we see, but that's an instance where you need to see the bench come through, the secondary scorers come through, a Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Andrew Wiggins, so on and so forth. But yeah, early on, I mean, he couldn't get by one-on-one defenders. A three-point shot wasn't following with his legs not being under him. Then the third quarter, of course, we saw Steph Curry look like Steph Curry.
Right,
15 points in the third quarter on 5 of 9 shooting, made all of his three-pointers in that third quarter. But again, team-wide, too little, too late. But yeah, Steph just trying to get the rust off. And he looked like someone who had multiple days and just couldn't quite find himself in that first half.
I felt like he was a really great mirror for what was going on for the rest of the team, especially because he was missing his three-point shot early on, which impacted and had a ripple effect onto the team that was also missing their three-point shot. And then later in the game, you found him finding success at the basket, being able to get some points in the basket, whether it was cutting off of screens or just being able to drive into the basket and beat his defender. When you think about Steph Curry and wanting to get him going early and the three-point shot isn't working, what kind of actions can the Warriors be doing to get him going?
It's a great question because, I mean, obviously the movement is what's so key to Steph Curry. He's not a stagnant catch-and-shoot guy by any means, right? He's always moving around. So whether it's screening, pick and roll, whatever it might be that can kind of simplify things down, because I do think, of course, he's the greatest three-point shooter of all time. But if you can get him to the basket, get the legs going, get the action going, that always opens everything else up. Because I've really noticed these last few games, the way that other teams are blitzing him and forcing everybody else, going, go ahead, prove it. Show that this whole depth thing can really beat us compared to just going 1-on-5 with Steph Curry. They are begging the rest of the Warriors to beat them compared to Steph.
That is such a great point, especially considering tonight, Phoenix played 9 strong. 9 strong, that was it. They got to, and every single one of their players scored. Meanwhile, the Warriors were deep into their roster, 14, and did not have the same production. Now, Phoenix was able to find offensive success early. You broke this down at the end of pregame or postgame live, but I want you to walk through it again, just how Phoenix's offense was able to get into the paint and make the Warriors scramble and then find the open shot that led them to 18 made threes and 51% from shooting from the three.
Yeah, how many times, time and time again, did we see the Phoenix Suns drive to the basket, the Warriors collapse? You would see 2-3 guys right there collapsing.
There it goes.
Kick out, wide open shot, three-pointer, cash money. There's too good of shooters to let this happen. When you have Kevin Durant, you have Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, the list is going on and on. And yeah, their depth pieces showed up with Amani Morris, these other guys helping out the Phoenix Suns with a slow start for Kevin Durant.
Right.
But the Warriors, always too late for rotations, and that's where you saw the second half. The rotating was much better in the second half when the Suns' three-point shot started to falter off a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, early on, just drive, kick, ball movement, wide open shot. It kind of reminded me a little bit of last year where you saw so much over-helping by the Warriors that pretty much always led to a wide open corner three-pointer by the opposition.
It's interesting. The Warriors are actually first in the NBA in opponent field goal percentage, meaning they're keeping their opponents at the lowest, at first in the NBA, at just 32%. And they're third in the league in field goal percentage at 43%. Third in deflections as well. Only got 4 steals tonight. So all of that flying at defenders, trying to contest, like you said, they were just a step too late, particularly in that first half. Rotations got a little bit better. It's funny you mentioned overhelping, because particularly last year, the person that always was overhelping happened to be Brandin Podziemski, especially as he was getting acclimated to the defense, the way that the Warriors like to play defense. This year, Jerry Stackhouse has them flying at their opponents, making sure they're in passing lanes, etc. Podziemski was one of those people tonight. You definitely saw him getting deflections, getting involved in the defense. He's overall been better for the Warriors, particularly these last 2 games. He's now starting in that position. What have you seen in terms of his transformation coming off the bench and now becoming more of a reliable starter alongside Steph Curry?
Well, tonight I saw a lot better decisiveness early on, especially shooting the ball. We know that the shot has not been there for him this season, especially from three-point range, right?
Sure.
But those are shots where you're going, you got to take them. If they're not following, that's okay, but you have to be able to take them with confidence. And I love to see this right away, coming off, catch, shoot, let it trickle around, it went through. Him getting 2 3-pointers in the first quarter, that was the first time for an entire game that Brandin Podziemski made multiple 3-pointers in exactly 1 month. Since October 30th, making 2 3-pointers against the Pelicans. So I really liked his overall game tonight. Of course, we see the Chargers drawn. That's Brandin Podziemski's game.
That's right.
But I thought he was decisive, like I said. I thought he was aggressive. I thought he commanded the court really well. He was confident. So I thought it was one of Brandin Podziemski's better games overall this entire season. The only thing that I'm going, okay, he had 10 points in the first half, only 2 in the second.
Right.
So that's where you're going. You got to find a way to kind of keep it going. But I really like the early aggressiveness from Brandin Podziemski next to Steph Curry in the starting backcourt.
That's the next progression for all of these players, is just consistency.
Yes.
Being able to start strong, finish strong, whether if you know, or at least finish strong, no matter what. Had these numbers crunched before by a producer. In these last 2 games, 12 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 44% from the field from Podziemski. Previous 16, or the previous last games before these last 2, 7 points, just 4 rebounds, 36.8% from the field. So definitely an improvement in these last 2 games. He's actually at the podium. Let's see what he had to say about tonight's loss.
I mean, 18 threes on 50%.
Yeah. How much of that did you feel like was breakdowns? How much of that's just Phoenix got hot?
Say a lot of them in the first half were breakdowns. A lot of times we were fine initially, but our rotations weren't like where they were supposed to be, meaning the right guy didn't rotate to the right person. So, I mean, they made us pay with that. And time someone shoots 50% and they make 18, you're probably going to lose.
How does it you feel like this 4-game losing streak's kind of landing locker room wise? I mean, you're still 12-7, but 4 straight losses.
I think we're fine. I think it was the same when we were 12-3. Nothing's changed. Everybody believes in each other. Coach believes in everybody. Played everybody tonight that was suited up, I think. So the vibes are good. I mean, it's definitely better than last year, I would say. But we're not, we're not going to trip about it. We're just going to try to get better.
Just in general, how unique of an experience has it been being a part of a 12, 13-man rotation?
It's fun. Anybody's night can, at any given point, it could be someone else's night. It's cool to see, last game, Pat come in, make an impact on a 2-way deal, and see the spark he gave us. And so you just get to see those experiences kind of play out. And then, could be somebody else's night every night, which is the cool thing about it.
Got a few stops defensively against Durant. Is that a matchup that you were looking forward to?
Oh yeah, matching up with him, Book, all guys I played against Team USA this summer. Just wanted to kind of lock in on those guys. Try to get a stop every time. I think I did for the most part. But just trying to take that challenge one-on-one. When we play these guys, Steve knows that he can put me out there when they're just trying to go ISO ball. And so I felt like I did a good job tonight.
You mentioned putting you in the starting lineup because he kind of wanted to get you in a more secondary playmaking role. First of all, how'd you feel like back in that unit?
Felt good. Starting to come off the bench, just trying to be aggressive and assertive. And I think I started the game out, quick 8 points, and just wanted to be aggressive and assertive. And I think it helped. But yeah, I feel fine. I mean, whatever role I'm in, you got to feel fine. You don't have a choice.
33 minutes for Podziemski tonight. Steve Kerr said that they like him as a secondary ball handler alongside Steph. When you think about his evolution from last year to this year, even looking at this game tonight, and his ability to be confident, he even just said that. What are you seeing out of his growth? What's the particular aspect of his game that you're particularly seeing evolve?
Well, those last 2 games that you brought up earlier, those are the kind of numbers that you expect from Brandin Podziemski. Kind of stuffing the stat sheet, making those winning impact plays throughout the game. And I love the fact that he brought up confidence within himself too, because we've seen some outward frustration.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr's talked with him. Mike Dunleavy has talked with him. The veterans on this team, Draymond Green, has said, play your game, stay confident, understand yourself, stay within yourself, because they know that they need him. They like the fact that Brandin Podziemski came in last year and showed his confidence, his outward confidence within the group, and he was assertive, right? So I think that he is kind of that secondary combo guard that can do a little bit of everything. He's not going to stand out in major ways as far as athletically or make some big-time highlight plays by any means. But I think that you look at the numbers last year, him with Steph, they were actually really good together.
Yeah.
So some people were going, I'm not sure what that's going to do defensively. They're both kind of around the same size. But yeah, Brandin Podziemski is a player who makes winning, impactful plays. And they even thought, as his shot was faltering throughout the start of this season, this wasn't going to be a long-term thing. They believe in the short-term and long-term of Brandin Podziemski. It's just kind of getting him going, getting that innate confidence, and seeing it outwardly. I want to see Brandin Podziemski go, I'm here, I'm that guy. So that makes me feel good seeing him talk about that as well.
It makes me feel great as well, especially because since that nose situation happened and he had the face mask, that absolutely was impacting his shot. You mentioned outward frustration. I think there was outward frustration with this bench play tonight, especially with Steph Curry starting slow. That is when you think that you can go to the bench and look at the Jonathan Kumingas of the world, the Betty of the Heels of the world, to be able to get you a bucket, to get you some shots. And in the first half, you couldn't look anywhere because they were not showing up in the way that they needed to show up. Got a little bit of help out of them late, but overall, the bench narrowly beating Suns bench, but significantly under their average, only 37 points versus the 50 that they average, leading the league. Tonight, the bench just wasn't all the way there, probably outside of Kevon Looney, who was the only player on the bench to have a +1. Overall, thoughts on the bench play?
Yeah, you brought up Buddy Hield and Jonathan Kuminga. Those are the 2 guys that I'm looking for when, hey, things are being stagnant, things are a little slow. They are the 2 that need to get going offensively. Yeah. And their skill sets really should complement each other very well, because Buddy Hield is someone who can space the floor. He shoots the threes. Jonathan Kuminga is the one downhill. Use your athleticism. Get to the rack. First half, they are both a -14 each. They were 1 for 8 overall, and that's when we're talking about with Steph Curry, where he didn't make a single shot in the first half. Coming back from that little knee issue, 36 years old, getting the Thanksgiving dinner rest off, getting the sweats out, you know what I'm talking about. Fair. So yeah, I think the slow start from those 2 guys really hurt the Warriors overall. So they got to find a way to get them going because, again, they're huge for that offense. I thought Buddy Hield's shot selection early in this game was a little off. It's something that JK has dealt with throughout his career. It's kind of trying to find that balance of shot selection. So they are vital to their success, their depth overall, and just, again, their balance of what their offense can be both from long distance and attacking as well.
For sure. Those two ended up 7 of 19 from the floor. Definitely a bright spot in Kevon Looney's play, though. He came in, took some minutes away from TJD to give something a little bit different. As Kerr said, he wanted a different spark or a different boost in the third quarter, and Looney gave them that. 100% from the floor, 4 of 4, added 6 rebounds and 9 points. So that was the only positive there coming out of the bench. But the Warriors have some other things to discuss in the starting lineup. We're going to talk about Trayce Jackson-Davis and the move from the starting lineup back to the bench in that second half. What did Kerr see? What did we see? We're going to break all that down when we get back. Don't go anywhere. It's Dubs Talk Live.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for our Black Friday sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
All right, YouTube. We're here, guys. Right. Breathe it out. Breathe it out. Breathe it out. There's a lot here. Love how active you guys are tonight. It is a fun Saturday night. Lots of thoughts here. One thing that was mentioned that we did not talk about in the opening, because it was one of those things where it's like, it was fine, but not game changing. And that's Wiggins. 18 points, 7 of 17, 4 of 9 from 3, 3 rebounds.
3 rebounds is a lot to me. And usually when Wiggins is on, you see at least 5 rebounds,
Correct.
right? And yeah, 18 points, but again, and I don't want to do eye tests and all these things, but did you feel the 18 points?
That's what I'm saying. And this
That's
is actually
the
what was
difference.
said, was that Wiggs had a quiet 18, and that is absolutely true.
I even look at like Grayson Allen's like night, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I felt those points.
Right.
They
They were
felt
emphatic.
impactful, and you're going.
Correct.
And every 3-pointer's making you're going, it's kind of backbreaking. Wiggins, you look up and you go, he had 18?
Yeah.
Didn't really know that, you know?
Yeah. Same thing when you mentioned about Pods starting the half, 10 points, then finishing out with just 12. Pod started off playing well with Steph and Dre, but then he was too quiet for the rest of the game. So this is just a consistency issue. Overall, the entire roster, you're seeing inconsistencies, whether it's across the course of a game, whether it's from a game to a game, like it's just inconsistent.
And is that kind of part of that depth question too, as far as the flow, the rhythm, trying to find your rhythm? Somebody like a Moses Moody talked about a couple games ago going, I haven't had that where I can't get
That's a
rhythm going.
really good
you know, you think
point.
about these guys going, I'm in for a few minutes. I got to find a shot. It's not always easy.
That's true. Very true. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. We are breaking down the Warriors' 105-113 loss to the Phoenix Suns. They actually now dropped to 4th in the West. They were 3rd behind the Houston Rockets and OKC, but now they are 4th with their 12-7 record. Looking at this game, at the very beginning, Trayce Jackson-Davis starts out as the big man in the center, does not return to start in that second half. Dalton, what did you see early for Trayce Jackson-Davis's game that you think might have contributed to that shift to the bench?
I think overall this season with Trayce Jackson-Davis, the ups and downs of a second-year pro, I just want to see more force. Overall in this game, multiple players have said, where was the juice? Where was the force? And I want to look at the big man first. Show me the force. You know, 1 for 5 finishing early on in the season. We talked about his efficiency. And right there, it just feels a little too soft for me. The finish. Get up. Get that dunk. Or at least attempt it. Get fouled on the way up. I'm fine with that, right? We understand the differences of Kevon Looney and Trayce Jackson-Davis from an athletic standpoint. But don't you always feel Kevon Looney, when he's fighting for those offensive rebounds, when he's fighting for his finishes, when he's getting his tip-ins, yeah, he might not spring forward and throw down a huge dunk by any means, but you always feel his force, you feel his impact. I want to see Trayce Jackson-Davis get a shoulder to a chest, get fouled on the way up. Don't be afraid to go to the free throw line. Even if you're slipping there here and there, fine. Get there, find yourself, calm yourself down, but I want to feel the force of TJD for all 4 quarters.
You make a great point about feeling Kevon Looney, because even if it's not anything offensive, it could be an emphatic screen, right? Just him being able to get his guards open. You can definitely feel Kevon Looney's in position on a defense. Now, you have seen this out of Trayce Jackson-Davis. We've seen him yam on Victor Wembanyama. We've seen him finish above the rim, being able to get those pick and rolls or the lob plays with Draymond Green. We've seen this. How can the Warriors get him going early? This was a game without Yusuf Nurkic. He should have been able to get started going early. What can the Warriors do to get that off the ground?
You know, in the modern NBA, when it's so three-point heavy, I think about not having a Nurkic and having Steph Curry coming back from injury. I kind of would have loved to see feed TJD early, find the pick and roll, get him a lob going, get him up in the air, let him feel forceful himself, right? So I think about a lot of the times you've heard about point guards in the past saying, even if I know that this big man isn't going to drop 20 tonight, I need to get him the ball, get him in the pocket, let him feel that, let him turn, dribble, go, right? So I would have liked early on in the game, I know what the Warriors are built off of. I know that they don't play old school big man basketball by any means. But I think when you're seeing the ups and downs of a young player like that, yeah, get him going early, build his confidence in the first 2-3 minutes, because that I think will have a really good domino effect for the rest of the game for Trayce Jackson-Davis.
As a big girl myself, I agree. Get us going early, get us running in transition, feed us, trust us, make us feel included, and that will get you going, get your confidence going. So now let's shift to the end of the game, because this is now the second game that the Warriors have lost in clutch minutes. The Warriors are now 5-6 on the season in their 11 clutch games. Last year, they ended up 24-24, right at 500. You never want to dip below 500, folks. But here, the Warriors losing in clutch minutes again, but fighting to get there. There's something to be said about that. So what are you seeing in these clutch minutes where the Warriors are not able to kind of get over the hump of getting so close, but no marbles?
Well, a lot of time it's stagnant, it's settling. We've seen so many games, I mean, previous where you go 14 missed shots, 9 possessions of not making a shot. Tonight felt different at the end, right? They had a 13-3 run up until the final minute where they fought. So I think that is something. If you can go to Denver and go, let's clip this portion. Let's clip these 3+ minutes and go, this is the fight that we need when it matters most in the clutch. That is something to build off of. I know Draymond Green showed us frustration saying, hey, there's nothing to take from that. And I kind of digress a little bit. I think when a team is struggling, find those areas, especially late in the game like that, where you can say, this is what we can build off of. This is who we need to be as a team moving forward. Not 1 versus 5, not playing hot potato, looking for someone else to pick up the slack. This is team-wide fighting for each other. That's what I felt in that 13-3 run. Team-wide fighting for each other. Loose balls, getting your hands in their deflections, loose balls that we talked about, that is team-wide defense. That's team-wide energy that I thought, again, the Warriors can feed off of that.
Dalton gave me Coach Carter interview, right? I'm motivated, y'all. I'm excited to play some defense. Well, the Warriors are going to need that energy from what you just said going into the rest of this gauntlet, because the fight doesn't stop here, folks. They got more games coming up. We're going to talk about the gauntlet that's ahead on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. This is Dubs Talk Live.
Rich what?
Rich what? What? You were good with the references. You were really, really good. I'm like, wow. Okay, so thoughts, people are agreeing with this, you know, the playing time, being able to get enough playing time to get some consistency. I think that's a really good point. It is harder, and I say this from experience, it is harder to come in into any role, whether it's you never start and then you start all of a sudden because there's a particular defensive assignment you have, or you never close quarters and now you're closing a quarter because you are the offensive choice of that game or whatever it is. Like, it is difficult to play in new roles when you're not used to playing in them. And there's a lot of folks on this team across this roster, because of the depth that Steve Kerr has been tapping into, and it had been working pretty consistently, now I feel like it's a little bit more exposed that some people are trying to rush during their minutes or trying to force something.
The interesting thing with that, too, is of all the coaches that would understand that, it would be Steve Kerr. That's was
true.
his
That was
role
his
throughout
role,
his
yeah.
15-year NBA career. Yeah, was he a star? No. He was a very, very good role player, and there'd be stretches. He might not play for a while, and then you got to be ready. And as a shooter like he was, he had to find a way to make sure that you might have 3 shots in a game. Let's make sure you can connect on 2 of them.
Yeah.
And that's not always easy. That's super hard. I feel like it's like the Tin Man being like, I got to find a way to pump myself up right here and get a little oil, loosen up, and not find a shot. Not always easy.
I think it was Steve Kerr that said that, when Phil Jackson would say, like, be ready.
The Zen master.
Like, he did a great job of keeping up with the rest of his bench to make sure they knew, you got to stay ready. We're going to get to you.
It's not easy.
Not at all. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. The Warriors may have lost tonight, but they got to turn the page because they got some games coming ahead. All right, first up, on the road, Denver Nuggets. A lot of history between these teams. A lot of history between these teams. And you want to talk about a team that plays their top 6, their top 7? They don't go to depth. This is that team, the Nuggets. And then they got Rockets, Minnesota twice. On the road and then at home and then on the road before the NBA Cup. And remember, that Tuesday game is an NBA Cup game. So that is going to be the knockout round. Very important for what they're trying to do. Get to Vegas, get a title before the title. These things matter, folks. Thoughts on the games ahead?
I think it's looking back at some of these missed opportunities and making sure that you can't have these missed opportunities. You got to take advantage of every little opportunity you get because the Denver Nuggets, they've been good, not great. The Warriors this season had great stretches, but now kind of good, not great.
Right.
Both teams that want to show that they are still perennial contenders. It's going to be a very good game in Denver. We know about their superstar, obviously. We know about their head coach, too. Mike Malone's a competitor.
Yes,
I love watching him on the sidelines. He's not going to take any breaks on the Warriors by any means. This is a big, big game in Denver. It's never easy to play in Denver for multiple reasons, from a basketball standpoint, from a geography standpoint. So this is a big game to, again, all those little opportunities, make sure that you don't waste a single second because, the rest of the schedule is a gauntlet going forward, Zena.
And you got the Houston Rockets, who young, hungry. You remember the last game. Warriors went up 30. Rockets got close. Warriors were able to pull out the win. I'm sure the Rockets are sleeping at night thinking about that. So I'm sure they've got them circled. And then, of course, Minnesota. Lots of question marks out there, but you never want to play to the level of competition. So that won't get any easier. Folks, right now, the Warriors are going to go back, watch the film on this 105-113 loss against the Suns, see how they can simmer down on some of those shots that they got going. But they got some more things to do. Got to get their oxygen in. Denver Nuggets up next. Appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Dalton Johnson, Zena, Keita. Have a great, wonderful weekend. All righty, YouTube. Warriors are missing the TJD lob threat as a part of the offense at this moment. Be real. Oh, somebody said they're getting depressed now. Arja, don't get depressed.
No.
Kevon said there's still good vibes.
I really
12-7, still a winning record, y'all.
And to be honest with you, even being around the team, it is a different feel from last year when things were getting a little rocky. So I do think, Kevon Looney brought it up. Brandin Podziemski brought it up. They still have their heads held high right now, and they understand, man, we've let a few things go. We've let a few games go, a few quarters go. So I think overall this team knows what they need to correct. It's now about just pure execution, And I think feeling the force right away in Denver, a place that isn't easy to play, like we brought up, from a basketball standpoint, from, again, mile high, of course, right? So that's where I think, man, if you can have a really strong start in Denver, that is a major key to trying to take them down.
And also, when you think about Denver's makeup, they are a team that outside of their starting five, they struggle.
Yeah.
They really struggle. And they're starting to see Julian Straw there and Peyton Watson and some folks try to step up and become more relevant. But if you find a way to be that number one team in the NBA at taking down the perimeter. You shut down a Michael Porter Jr., you shut down a Jamal Murray, and you make Jokic. Just let him do his thing. But by himself, that could be a solid strategy.
That has been the strategy in the past with the Warriors in the playoffs too, where it's going, hey, we know what you're going to get. You're going to get yours, but we cannot let the secondary third type of scorers beat us. You can't have a Michael Porter Jr. 32-point game. You can't let Jamal Murray get hot early and feel himself.
Now, the person that I'm particularly interested on how they will guard is Christian Brown, because he has been significantly better for the Nuggets, and he's just been strong, long, and powerful through all sides of the ball. Defensively, in transition, he's shooting better even this year. I mean, he is literally. They said we're getting rid of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. We're getting rid of Bruce Brown. We need you to step up.
Yeah, trust the young guy.
And he has. Yeah. He really has. So I'm just curious as to who they're going to put on him, because obviously I'm thinking Draymond's going to be on Jokic, and if TJD starts again, it has to be on Christian Brown, but it's going to be a matter of you can't be soft.
Yeah, look,
you can't be soft against Brown.
It's a big test. Unfortunately for the Warriors, one of many the rest of the calendar year. Yeah. There's no easy games the rest of 2024. So every game you got to find a way to get that extra oomph. Find the juice early, and then make sure you got at least one more drop than the other team in the fourth quarter.
Do you coach a middle school team around here or a high school team? They need this energy.
I have dealt with a little bit of high school ball back in the day.
Okay, there you go. I was like, somebody needs to be getting this energy. Hopefully, I don't know if the Warriors are watching, but good luck on the next one. Tonight, we're going to close this one out. Appreciate you guys tuning in on YouTube. As always, Dalton Johnson, Zena, Keita. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, guys. Bye.